Hello Game Makers, this is Game Maker Rob, and in this episode of our RPG Starter Kit series, we'll be covering the inventory system. We'll be able to open the inventory, use items. It can be a herb to heal yourself or a magic wand to cast a spell. You can also equip weapons and armor. We also implement items in the battle system as well, so let's get started. So the first thing we need to do is to go inside our init object and create event. I'm going to add some items, enumerators first of all. We're going to have an enumerator for equipment slots. So an item might fit as a helmet, armor, shield or weapon, or it might just be an item. That just means it's not going to fit into any equipment slot. And then we have item stats, name, spell to cast, min and max value. This is going to determine how many points of damage the spell might do, how many points it might heal, how much damage it can do as a weapon, or how much armor it gives as a piece of armor. So that's what these stats are going to be for, and they're useful. What they're used for is going to depend on what kind of item it is. Charges, so some items like herbs are just going to be one use items. You might want to have things that last 10 times. We also have items that you can have unlimited uses for. Things like a magic wand will have unlimited uses. Anything like a sword or piece of armor or helm will also have unlimited uses. Herbs and scrolls and angel wings, they're just going to be one use items. Equipment wear is basically which one of these slots is going to fit in. And gold value, how much is it going to cost to buy and sell as well. And this is just a list of the items that I've made. We've got a herb, a magic wand. So the herb's going to cast heal spell. Magic wand is going to cast a magic dart spell. Scroll of magic ball is going to cast magic ball. Angel wings is going to cast return to last in. We've got a wooden sword, copper sword, armor, shield and helm. So let me just scroll down the items. These are the stats that I've given it so far. And that's the rest of them. So once you've got that, I'm just going to minimize the region. And we're going to go into inventory now. So I decided to go with 64 slots, and it's going to display the items in an 8x8 grid. We have an enumerator with inventory stats. The inventory array is going to hold what kind of item we have. So if it's item 0, it's going to be a herb, because the herb is item 0 in items. If we have a sword, it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, item 4. Equipped is going to be true or false. So whether it's equipped or not. Only items that are helmet, armor, shield or weapon can be equipped. You'll see what I mean a little later on. Charges is how many charges this particular item has. So when an item is added to the inventory, it's going to get this amount of charges, and every time it's used, it's going to lose 1. We're setting charges to -1 if we want them to have unlimited uses, because when the charges in the inventory gets to 0, the item gets destroyed. But if the charges is set to -1 or lower, the item is never going to get destroyed. Unless you sell it, of course. Okay. This for loop is just setting the whole inventory to empty. And this code here, we're just going to add some items to the inventory like this, just so we can have something to play around with. And last of all, we have gear. So this is the items we actually have equipped. So we need one for the weapon, helm, armor, shield. And we're going to have an empty gear list to start with. And this is just going to fill up with item numbers like 0, 1, 2, 3, that kind of thing. Although I don't think we should be wearing a herb, so maybe 0 is the wrong thing to say. So once you've got that, we will go into the player. So now go into player. Actually, no, first of all, let me show you 2 new sprites I've got. This one is 2 images, this one. So the first image is going to be displayed before every item, because we're going to be displaying the items in a grid, and the item's going to get drawn on top of this. And then whatever item slot is selected, this is going to be drawn over it instead of the arrow, and it's 32 by 32. And I also have a list of items. The order that these items are in has to match the order that they are in the enumerator in the items here. So this order has to match this order, just so they get displayed properly. These assets are free, and I'm going to link you where I got them from. Okay, so now go into OBJ player and the step event, just so we know where we're up to. We want to be inside the menu region, and then so inside, if pressed OK, we've got the main menu and then magic, and inside inventory we're going to add this code. We're just setting the state to inventory, resetting the option to 0, and giving the max options the maximum amount of inventory slots there are, which is 64. And then we're still in pressed OK. And underneath, if magic menu state is magic, we need an else statement, and we're going to have this code inside it. Just make sure it's wrapped inside the else statement, just like magic and inventory is wrapped inside this one. Okay, so just get this down, and we're going to leave it like this for now. We do have to do this later on, but we're just going to display the inventory for now. So once you've got this down, this stuff, go into the draw GUI event at the player, and so we've got the menu region here, the magic region here, and underneath we want the inventory region. So we need to check the menu state is inventory. Counter, we're going to use this to check, to cycle through all the slots of the inventory. Normally we would use a for loop for that, but because we're using 2 for loops, we can't just use this variable, because this only goes up to 8 and this only goes up to 8, and we need this to go up to 64 or 63. So this is going to draw our grid, draw the first sprite, this one that I told you about. Don't worry about this for now, I'll show you that in a minute. item, so we're just getting the value of whatever is in the slot for the inventory. Most of it is going to be -1, which means there's no item. If item is not -1, then there is an item there, and we're going to draw the sprite of the item that it is. This part here is why we want to have all our items in the same order as the enumerator. And then we want to show to see if the item is equipped. When the game starts, everything's going to be set to false. We're not going to have anything equipped, so this code shouldn't run to start with, but we're going to have it for later for when we do equip items. Again, don't worry about this bit. That's just for testing. And last of all, instead of the arrow, we're going to have a selection box, which is what this draws here. And then we need to make sure we increase the counter by 1 inside the second for loop. And this is the end of the first for loop. And we'll also have a region for testing gear as well. But that's it. That's where this end region is. That's all the inventory stuff. So once you've got this, we should be able to run the game and at least see the inventory. So press start, go to inv, and there we go. So if you press up and down, we can go through the inventory, but we want to be able to press left and right as well. So we'll get to that now. Actually, before we do that, it's going to be easier to explain if we show some of the testing code. So where we have this region where it says testing numbers off, we're going to have this code here. All we're going to do is display counter in a string format. So once you've done that, run the game. And at the moment, we can only press up and down. And if you wanted to get to, say, number 44, it would take us a long time. What we want to be able to do is press left or right and go across. So from 5 to 13, we want selected item to go up by 8. And say, for example, we're going from 28 to 20, we want to go left. We want to decrease selected option by 8. So that's what we're going to be doing now. So now you can see the numbers. Hopefully it's going to make things a bit clearer what we're doing. So into the step event of the player. Underneath where we have pressed down and pressed up, we want this region. So this bit that's wrapped inside the if statement is exactly the same as this, and it's relevant for main and magic. This bit is specifically for the inventory, and if we press right, we want to go across eight numbers, so from 10 to 18. We need to check that selected option doesn't get to 64 or above. If it does, then we need to work out this. That's what this does. This is basically the wrap version of it. So if selected option gets over 64, then this is going to happen. And if we're pressing left, if selected option is going to be less than 0, then this is going to happen. So once you've done that, let's run the game. Press up, down, left, right, make sure it works as it should normally. You should be able to wrap around like this. Okay, cool. Okay, so we can just delete this now because we're not going to need it. And one more thing to add in the draw GUI is this line here, because we only want to show the arrow and the text if we have one of these two options. And don't forget to close it as well. There's the matching pair of curly brackets. And then if you run the game again, you should have no arrow for the inventory, like this. I don't think I properly explained all of this though. So after we draw the item, we're going to show if the item is equipped. We're checking this array to see if the item in the inventory is equipped. So if it's true, we're going to draw a green E at the bottom right of it to show that it's equipped. And that's going to tie into the next bit in the step event that we're going to do now. So inside this bit here, so we are pressing OK, and we're not inside this bit. We're not inside main menu, we're inside inventory here. So if there's actually an item in this slot, we want to either equip it or use it. So this bit is going to be equipping it. It's only a small amount of code. So first of all, we need to check that it's not an item, which is what this does, because we want it to fit in one of the body slots. It's like a weapon, helmet or shield. So as long as the item isn't an item, then this code is going to run. We need to know the actual slot that this item is going to fit in, which is what this code will do. So it's going to give us like a helmet, shield, sword, weapon, something like that. So after this, we need to check to see if there isn't already an item equipped in our gear, which is what this is going to check. So if the slot is greater than -1, then there is definitely something there. Current equipped item is going to get the slot of the inventory, so it's going to be 0 to 63. That's what's going to be returned, and whatever number of the inventory it is, we're going to tell it that it's no longer equipped. It's going to lose the green E, and then all that we're left to do is to equip the item. So the gear slot is going to become whichever item is highlighted, so the selected option. And then in our inventory, we're going to set the equipped stat to true for the item. And this is, well, it's for me just as much as you. Just remember, we need to add all the stats of the gear up for the battles, so the player actually gains some benefit from the stuff that he's buying and equipping. So once you have this code down, let's run the game. We should be able to see some items being equipped. I don't want to click on these ones just yet, because it's probably either going to crash or not do anything. If we select a different weapon, you can see the equipped slot changes. As long as you've got something like this, then you know your code is working just like mine. And the next thing to tackle is if the item is an actual item that can be used. So let's get this bit ready. So here's the code for it. So again, we're going to check to see whether it's an actual item. So yes, it is. We're going to use some similar code to the battle spawner. We're going to get the spell ID. So each item is going to cast a spell basically. We're going to use the same spell effects. This is a direct copy from the magic region. And we also want to have charges as well, because remember, if an item has only one charge or a few charges, it's going to get worn out eventually. So this line here, remove a charge if it's not an unlimited item. So if the charges are greater than 0, take one off. Any item with a charge of -1 or lower will never lose one. And if the charges reaches 0, then we're going to clear the item from the inventory array. That's what this does. We need to clear the item number, we need to clear the charges, and anything else that's in the stats as well. That's what this is going to do. And we're also going to add this in as well if you haven't already. So once you've got this down, I should minimize these regions just to make sure you've got everything in its place. And that was the inventory part. So let's run the game. We should be able to use a herb and use the magic wand as well. Let's try a herb. So if we had any hit point to heal, we would have gained hit points from that, or we should have. Let's try the wand. So basically we're just using the same scripts as with magic, but it's an item. It's a nice way to use things we've already coded. One thing to bear in mind at the moment is that the herb has its own heal value, but at the moment we're using the values of the heal spell. So that is the next thing that we are going to tackle. So now we need a small modification to the heal script. So into script, SCR heal. All I've changed is this bit at the top, so that when we type SCR heal, it's going to tell us what values we need. And I've commented out this bit, and I've just made it argument 0 and argument 1. So now in the battle, when we use the heal script, we're going to need to pass it the min max values of the heal spell. This also means that you can have heal spells that are have different power. Like you might have like a mega heal spell, and you can use the same script but just pass it a different value. And we can also use the same script for the herb and any other healing items as well. So that's why this is really useful. So the next thing we should do is if we go into OBJ player and step event and magic menu, and where we're casting a heal spell, we need to put in global.spells spell ID, and we want spell stats dot min value, and then you can see on the bottom it's telling us it needs now the max value, so we can copy this and paste it here, change it to max value, and we want to copy this as well. And inside OBJ battle, Control F and search for SCR heal, and just copy this into there. Oops, or just replace it, sorry. So it should look like this. And finally, if we go back into OBJ player, step event, minimize the magic menu, and you see this red, it's telling us that this is because we've got a script and we're not passing arguments to it. So that's why these bits are red here. So for this one, we're going to use the herb stats. So global.items, is it? Yeah, items. And then we want item item stats dot min value, and then copy this and paste it and just change it to max value. There we go. And the last thing you want to do is in the init event of the player, player stats, just want to give him like 1 hit point so we can make sure this is working. So now if we look, we've got 1 hit point out of 10. We're going to use a herb. So now we heal ourselves for 9 hit points, go back into the inventory, and we have no herbs left. We're going to use this herb now. None left. But we can use the wand as much as we want because it's unlimited. Maybe that's overpowered. Maybe you want to give it like 99 charges or something. You know, you can do. You can give it as many or as few charges as you want. It's entirely up to you. Okay, so the last thing we are going to do today is we are going to implement items within the battle system. So the first thing we want to do is go into obj battle step event, and the first thing we want is here. So we are inside if state is ready. We're in the pressed OK region, pressed OK, and we're inside if option state equals main. We want to have this inside the item case. And then if we minimize this, we want to be inside if option state equals item. So all of this is new. So it's very similar to the code that is inside the player, but we are not allowing the player to equip different items, only use items like herbs and wands, things like that. So I don't think much in this code is changed apart from that, so just make sure you've got this down. Just make sure as well that within this block of code, so if there is an item, then we want the player to finish their turn. That's what this is going to do. We want them to finish their turn after they've used an item. If there's no item in the slot, or the item's like a weapon that doesn't do anything, we don't want them to end their turn. That'd be pretty gay for them if that happened. So once you have that, check my notepad. Oh yeah, we just need to add in the left and right input as well. So in the region player input, underneath, well, inside this block of code, if accepted player input, we're just going to have this code here. It's a copy and paste from the player object. Apart from this, option state is different. One thing I've added to the roadmap is just having a script for this stuff and making it consistent for the battle, the player menu, and the shop as well. So rather than having 3 different sets of code that does the same thing, we'll just have one set of code but put it into a script. But for now, just make sure you have it like this. And the next thing we need to do is we need to change around the draw GUIs. So this, let me open it. So this code here, the main part of the code in the draw, it was in the draw GUI event. So you want to right click, change event, draw, and set it to draw GUI begin. We want everything that the battle's drawing to be drawn first, and then with a monster, change this. It was draw GUI end, and we want this to be draw GUI. So this is going to be drawn after the battle stuff, and then last of all, we want to draw the inventory on top of everything else to make sure the monster isn't blocking it. So we want a draw GUI end event, and this code is going to be inside of it. Again, it's very similar to the code that is in the player event. I think all we would really need to do is change menu state to option state, and we can just probably put all of this into a script. And every time, the point of having this code in the script means that we only ever have to update it once. we don't have to go into the player and the battle and the shop and change it 3 times. It's just going to be 1 time. So I think it's going to be worth doing. We will do that in a future episode though. Just make sure that you have this down in the draw GUI end event. So once that's done, we should be able to run the game. And I still have 1 hit point, so let's go into the battle. I better heal, so item, and then I'll use a herb. Heal myself, cool. And then item again. The second herb's gone, it's great. And then I'm going to use the wand to finish off the slime. There we go, so he's dead. The other thing that I noticed is I don't like the way that if you press up, it goes to the bottom right square. So there's a way for me to fix it, but again, I think I'll leave that for the next episode. I want it to work like, if you look at it from moving left to right, that's how it should work, but moving up and down, it's kind of annoying. So yeah. Alright guys, I will catch you next time. Bye for now.